Let us learn about abstraction in Java. So abstraction is one of the object-oriented concepts as we have discussed in the first session. So what is abstraction? Abstraction is a process of hiding the implementation details and showing only functionality to the user. I hope that it's a bit confusing to understand. So let me give you this simple example for you to understand what do I mean to say. For example, let's say every one of us this time around we like chatting with our friends, right? So when you chat with your friends, what you usually do, you type messages, then you send them. But do you really care about how that message delivery system would work? Most of us, we don't know really what is happening behind the scenes of this message delivery system, most of us, right, as I say. But some, maybe you know that behind the scenes when it comes to the passing of message from one end to another end. What I mean to say, we don't care what is happening in the beginning as long as we can able to send and receive messages. That is what exactly can be done with the help of abstraction in Java. So abstraction is the process of hiding the implementation. As I say, that we don't care, we don't even know what is happening in this behind, especially when it comes to the sending and receiving messages. All we want to know is we want the message to be sent, and then we want to see the replies from our senders, right? So that is the only thing that we are focusing on. So that thing can be done with the help of abstraction. So how are we going to achieve this abstraction? These abstractions can be achieved in two ways. One is by using the abstract class, another one is by using the interface method. So these two are the one which enables us to focus on the front end, what is really we wanted, not necessarily focusing on what is happening behind the screens. So this abstraction can be achieved with the help of two things. First one is an abstract class, the second method is an interface. So now let us learn about the abstract class, and then we are going to learn about how this abstract class is going to help us to hide the scenes behind the screen, and then we are just going to witness how this thing is been working in the front end as a user. What are we going to see, right? So abstract class are defined usually with a keyword name called abstract. So when you want to say this this part of the program we have used, this part of the class we have used the concept of abstraction or an abstract class. So first thing that you need to do is the class has to be defined with a keyword name called abstract. Then an abstract class is a superclass. Superclass is which is nothing but the parent class that cannot be instantiated. What do I mean to say cannot be instantiated? Let's say we have seen the inheritance concept. Let's say the class is bird, then inside we had a method name called void fly. The bird is flying. Maybe we had another class ego extends, we inherited the properties from the parent class. Then we had another method void eat, let's say we are eating. So when you come to the main class, we create the object for the child class saying ego, because eagle is a child class for the parent class bird. Then we can still be able to access the parent class, right? But when you use the abstract class, when you create the object for the child class, in case if you have the method with the abstract keyword, that class cannot be instantiated. Meaning if you have the method in your parent class with a keyword name called abstract, that part cannot be instantiated to the child class. I would say even the house that belongs to my dad, maybe being a only son for my dad, that house is going to be mine after my dad, right? That one is clear. In case if my dad says that no, though this house I have built, so what I'm going to do, this particular portion from this house I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to give you. You're not allowed to this part of the house even after me, because I want to give this part of the house to be donated to the orphans. So you have got no rights on this part. If he want, he can restrict me, isn't it? So same thing we are going to do it here with the help of abstract class. So methods can be accessed from the parent class to child class in the inheritance, but if the parent class has the method name as abstract, so that portion of the method cannot be instantiated to the child class. I hope you understand what I mean. So if I explain you with the programming, I'm sure that you can able to understand. Then in case if you want to instantiate one of its child class, you want to create a new object. right? So an abstract class can have both abstract method and concrete method. I will show you what does that mean, abstract method and the concrete method. Abstract method means we are going to have the keyword as an abstract in front of the method. Instead of just writing white fly, we are going to write a method with abstract white fly. That is the abstract method, right? Concrete method means the normal method. When I say white fly, that is a concrete method. Concrete method in the sense where we are going to have the definitions for that particular method. I will show you so that you can understand. So concrete method in abstract class can be overridden in inherited class. As I said that when you just write white fly, that method can be overridden, right? Even in the previous example, we have seen in the polymorphism what is overridden. When you have two same methods, that from parent class and the child class, you can override the method from the parent class in child class with as long as the method name is same. So concrete method can be overridden, but if the method in the parent class is an abstract method, you cannot override. So in case if you use the keyword as final for that particular concrete method, so concrete method in the sense void fly is a concrete method, the normal method, right? In case instead of using abstract as a keyword, if you use final as a keyword, even the concrete method cannot be overridden into the child class. That is what it means. I'm going to show you everything programmatically so that you will understand, right? So final means the implementation is complete, so you cannot override, right? So this is a rules for us to have the abstract class. First one is an abstract class must be declared with an abstract keyword. That's the first one. The second one is it can have both abstract method and non-abstract method. I will show you. Then it cannot be instantiated, meaning if you have the method as an abstract method, it cannot be instantiated. Then the fourth one is it can have final method. As I say that you can have concrete method if you want to override. Even if you don't want to override that method, you can make that concrete method into a final method so that it cannot be overridden. Finally, it can have constructors as well as static methods. Now, I'm sure that we are done with the theory part. Let me show you the practical part so that you will understand more. So here, I'm going to my file, new project, Java application here, click next. So here I'm just going to give the name as abstract class for my project, maybe abstract method, anything. Click finish. Here is the project that has been created. Go to the source file, default package, right click, new Java class. Here is the name of the class. So let me create the animal class here. Click finish. So it's going to create a class name as animal, right? So let me remove the access specifier for now. So let me save this part, right? So what is the first rule? If you want to create an abstract class, you have to use the keyword as abstract. So I'm going to make this class with the keyword abstract. So what is abstract? Let me the spelling. So what does that mean? This particular class is an abstract class. That's the first rule, right? Then this abstract class can have both abstract method as well as non-abstract method, or we can call them as a concrete method. What does that mean, abstract method? When you want to create the abstract method, that one has to be created with a keyword name called abstract, and then whatever the name that you give, let me say void, I'm going to call this one as a move. So this method is an abstract method because I have the keyword as abstract. When your method is an abstract method, you cannot have the body for this abstract method. What do I mean to say body? Usually when you have the method, within the method you will have system.out.println, and then here let's say I'm going to pass the message as hello. I'm sure that you have noticed there is a big fat error. When I hover here, the tooltip says abstract methods cannot have a body. What does that mean? If you have a method name as abstract, then that method is not going to have any body. So you have to remove this body section because the rule is when the method is an abstract method, you are not allowed to have the body. I hope it's clear, right? So let me create another abstract method, and then let me call this one as, let me call void it. right? So I'm sure that you can remember an abstract class can have both abstract method as well as the concrete method. Concrete method in the sense the normal method, let me say void label. This is a method, right? So here I can have the definition system dot out dot println. So inside I would say maybe animal data. Here I can have the body, so just like a typo error, otherwise this one would work. So here you can see I had two methods in this abstract class, both abstract method as well as concrete method. Concrete method in the sense is just a normal method where we can have the definition for the function, right? So I have the abstract class with two different methods. As I say that when you have the method as an abstract method, when your class name is an abstract class, that class cannot be instantiated. What do I mean to say the class cannot be instantiated? Let me show you this. Let me say now, here I'm going to create, okay, let me create another class. I'm going to call the class here, let me just go up. So I'm going to create a class. I can call this class, let me call this one as a bird. This one is going to be extend from the animal class, right, from this class. So here inside what I'm going to do, let me create the same method name here but without an abstract method void, I would say move, because the same method like here. So inside, okay, it's no problem. So here what it says that bird is not an abstract and does not override the abstract method eat in animal. So that is what we are trying to say, because it is comparing the void move with the bird class, I mean the child class, from the parent class, and the compiler is trying to check whether we can override this method from the parent class to the child class, and it just that found out this method is an abstract method. So it says that you cannot override this method unless maybe whatever the things that you put them here, that is the only thing can be displayed. So here what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this, I'm going to paste them here just inside, maybe I would say moves by flying, right? So this is our first method. Then what I can do, maybe let me create another method with the same name void eat. So let me copy and paste them here. So usually birds eat seeds, right? Birds eat seeds, right? So what I'm trying to do them here exactly, I'm trying to override the methods that found in the parent class. In this case animal is a parent class, because I have got void move and the void eat. I'm trying to override this method in the child class, but unfortunately I can't override because this particular method is an abstract method, right? So what I can do now, let me create another one class fish extends the animal. What is the example of this one? I'm sure that you have remember, we are trying to do the hierarchical inheritance, right? So we are trying to inherit the properties from the parent class to the different child class. So class fish extends animal. So inside I'm going to have the method like let me say again void move, the same method. I'm just trying to check whether if I can override that abstract method, right? So system.out.println, usually fish moves by swimming, right? Swimming. And then let me create another method void eat. So usually fish eats seafood, right? I hope you clear. What we have done so far, we have created the abstract class. If you want to create an abstract class, you have to use the keyword as abstract. The same abstract class can have the abstract method and non-abstract method. So these two are the abstract method. This is a non-abstract method. When the method is an abstract method, you cannot have the body. That is the reason why there is a no definition for this one. Again, if the method is an abstract method, that method cannot be overridden. So what we are trying to do in the child class, we are trying to override the method that there in the parent class here. So we have learned about the method overriding in the polymorphism. I'm sure that you can go and check if you want. So we are trying to override. As long as this method is an abstract method, you cannot override, meaning you're just going to print this detail that is part of this particular child class. So we have created two classes like that. This is like an example for the hierarchy of inheritance, where more than one class can have the access to the parent class, right? So here what we are going to do now, we can just create a main method here. Let me say I'm going to create a class name called test bird. So within the class, what we can do, we can create the main method. So public static void main. So instead I'm going to have string argument yes. So inside what we are going to have, so what is it saying? There is an error, illegal state, fish bird. Okay, test. Okay, the fish class, animal class starts here. Okay, it should end here, so that the error would go because it's a different class. So now let me remove this. It's okay, right? So it's like I'm trying to create another class as a main function. So inside what I am going to do, I hope everything is clear as for now, right? So these are different classes. Fish is a different child class. This particular bird is a different child class, and this is the parent class, abstract parent class for both the bird class as well as the fish class, right? So being a parent class, so what we are trying to do, we're saying, okay, you can have access of this property, but though you are my child, but still you are not allowed to have any access on these two properties. That is what we are trying to do. So when it comes to the class here, so what we are going to do, we are going to create an object for the parent class, right? So when I say animal is a parent class, let's say animal. So here let's say I'm going to create what can we say? We can create an object name as, let's say, my bird is the name of the object, equals new animal. So here we are trying to create the object for the parent class, right? Parent class. I hope you can see the difference. We are trying to create the object for the parent class, right? So if it is a case, I'm sure that as soon as I try to create the object for the parent class, you see there is a big error saying animal is an abstract, so it cannot be instantiated. Remember, in the theory part I said it can have the yes, it cannot be instantiated. What does that mean? As long as the parent class is an abstract class, so you cannot create the object for this particular class. That is the reason why I said when the class is abstract class, it cannot be instantiated. That is the reason why you can see them here, there is a big fat error. But let's say I'm going to create the class for the bird, the child class. So here what I need to do, bird. Now there is no error. Now what I'm going to do, my bird dot, when I say move and eat, let's say I'm going to call the method as move, as well as my bird dot eat. When I call these two functions, because initially these two methods are found in the parent class, but these two classes are abstract class, so we can't do anything with it. So instead what we are going to do, we are just going to display the things that are found in the actual bird class. So when I go and run there, so you would see it will just return the message saying it's going to say moves by flying, birds eat seeds, because you cannot have any access on these two methods because of the keyword abstract. But you can have the access of this method because this is a normal method, concrete method with some body of the definition inside. So if you want to access, you can access like say my bird dot, let's say label. So when I save and refresh, you would see you can still able to access the label from the abstract class. Though it's an abstract class, animal data, I can still able to print. Why? Because it's just a concrete method, we can have the access. But if you want to restrict even this concrete method from accessing to the child classes, what we are going to do, as I said, since these two methods are abstract methods, so it cannot be overridden, as you can see them here. But this is a normal method, concrete method, it cannot be overridden, right? So even if I just create the same method, let me just copy and go here. So inside this one, let me say I'm just going to override that one. So here instead of animal data, I'm going to say label from birds. So in that case, if I try to access that my bird dot label, so this label method here in the parent class is going to be overridden by this child class method name saying label from the birds. So when I right click and run file, so as you can see them here, instead of just displaying the animal data from this void label method, it displays label from the birds, right? In case if you want even this method, you maybe, let's say you don't want this method also not to be overridden. In that case, what you can do, now you can override. In case if you want to block from overriding this method, so you can use as an abstract. If you use as an abstract, you cannot have the body, isn't it so? If you use as an abstract, you cannot have the body, but you want to have the body, but still you want to block the child class to access this method. In that case, you can use the keyword as final in front of this method, so that if the child class try to rewrite that or override that method, is going to throw an error. You can see them here already. Label in bird cannot override label anymore because that method is a final method. So you can see them here. That is the reason why you cannot override. It says that because that method is already a final method, so if you try to override, you can't. That's the reason why this error saying here, because you cannot override a method with a keyword name called final here. I hope now you have understood how to use the abstract class to protect a certain information of from the parent class to the child class, right? Then the second one that we are going to discuss them is about interface. I hope you can still remember when we were learning about the inheritance, I told you multiple inheritance is not allowed in Java, especially when you are dealing with the classes, but multiple inheritance is allowed when you use the concept of interface, right? So when it comes to the interface, what is interface? When you want to use the class as an interface class, you are going to use interface as a keyword, just like the way that we have used abstract as a keyword. Here we are going to use interface as a keyword, right? So what is the use of this interface method? It usually used to achieve the abstraction. What is the use of abstraction? To hide some information to the child class from the parent class, right? So by interface we can support the functionality of multiple inheritance. As I said that in a normal class you cannot have the multiple inheritance, but if the class is an interface, then we can have the multiple inheritance. I will show you in few minutes time, right? Then it can be used to achieve loose coupling. So that is the use of interface. Then an interface is a 100% abstract class. What do I mean to say 100% abstract class? I will show you what do I mean to say 100% abstract class. It can have only static, final and public field. In case if you want to try to create the fields in a private data, it's not allowed. Remember, the field is in sense is like a data type, right? So in abstract class we can even have the private data type, but here you cannot have private data type. It has to be public or final or static, right? Classes can access an interface using implements keyword. This is an important thing that you need to focus. Here we are going to use the keyword as implements. So before in the abstract we use the keyword as an extends, right? So let me show you what I mean to say keyword. So here this is an abstract class, this is a parent class. If you want to access the properties of this class to the child class, we use the keyword as extends, right? So here in interface class we are no longer going to use the keyword as extend. We are going to use the keyword as implements, right? So let me show you the syntax so that you will understand. So here we are going to have the keyword as interface followed by name of the class name. For inside we can have the declare constant fields, we can declare an abstract field, or by default the number one, right? Just like student string name is equal to Ranjan, something like that. I don't want to confuse you much, just remember this syntax. Let us just go there to our IDE so that I can demonstrate, right? So here what I'm going to do, let me create a new project, Java application. Next I'm going to call this one as an interface. So click finish. The project interface has been created. Go to the source package, right click here, new, go to the Java class. So here let me call this one as an Animo again. So click finish. So here remember we are going to use interface as a keyword. We are not going to have a class. Interface and followed by name of the interface. That's the syntax, right? Interface then interface name. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this keyword class. Instead I'm going to write interface. I hope things are clear, right? Then inside the interface method we can have fields and methods, but that field we are allowed to use a keyword only abstract or static, or I'm sure that let me show you. We can use static as a keyword, we can use final as a keyword, and public fields. So let me say I'm going to use the field as public is allowed, right? I'm going to use the keyword as public. Let me call this one as a void it. So by default when you create the methods and the fields in the interface, by default is going to be a abstract. So what do I mean to say abstract? Even if you don't use a keyword as abstract in front, even if I remove the public, even the normal method like void it in the abstract class is a concrete method, right? You can have the definition inside. So what do I mean to say definition inside? Let me show you that as an example that we have created here. A void label is a concrete method, we have the definitions inside. But when the class is an interface, when the method is an interface, even the normal method will be considered as an abstract method. What do I mean to say? When it comes to the abstract method, we are not allowed to create the body of the section, right? So let me say here I'm trying to create the body. As soon as I type this body of the section, let me come here, let me copy and paste them here. It's still showing me okay, the error has gone though when I save it's still showing me an error. So when I hover on this one, the tooltip says interface abstract methods cannot have body. So even if you put the normal method, by default this method will be considered as a abstract method. I'm sure that there is somewhere where I have written interface method. By interface method we can support the functionality of multiple. Okay, it is used to achieve the abstraction. Why? Even when you put the normal method, even if you don't use the keyword as an abstract, this method will be still considered as an abstract method. But here in the abstract method, if you want to say the method is an abstract method, you have to use the abstract as a keyword. But here in interface, there is no need for you to use the keyword as an abstract. Yes, you can still use abstract as a keyword. You have to remove the body, then put the semicolon. Still, maybe the spelling is wrong. You can still use abstract as a keyword, you can use public as a keyword, you can use static as a keyword. By default, this method is going to be considered as an interface. So what does that mean? If the method is an abstract method, you cannot instantiate, remember. So everything that you put under this interface is going to be protected. It cannot be instantiated, right? So let me say I'm going to create another method. So in this case, let me use the keyword as abstract. Then here I'm just going to create the method as void it. So this is an error because I have used the same method name here. So let me call this one as a move, right? So even if you don't use an abstract method, by default it's going to be an abstract method. So as I say that even if I create a method like here, let us just create something. So instead of move, let me call this one as a sound, right? So there are two methods. Even if you don't use the keyword, it's going to be an abstract method. So here I'm going to have another interface method. Interface, I'm going to call this one as a bird. So within the bird, what I'm going to have, let me create integer, some fields. I'm going to say number of legs for the birds. Let me say usually there are 2, right? Then again I'm going to say string outer covering is going to be feathers. Then I'm going to have public white fly as a method. Just to show you, we can use different keywords, right? So here in the white fly, I'm going to, so it's an abstract method. I'm not allowed to have the body, right? Because even if you use public, whatever the keyword, by default is going to be abstract method, so you cannot have the body, right? So this is a different interface method, this is a different interface method, right? So from these two interface method, what if I want to create another class where I can able to access the animal class as well as the bird. So let me go to the slide so that I will show you how the multiple inheritance would look like. So you can see, so there are two different classes. I'm going to inherit the properties from these two different classes to this C class. So here is a class, so that is the reason why we are unable to achieve the multiple inheritance. So in this case, this is not the class, this is interface, but there are two different interfaces, right? So animal interface and the bird interface. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another class. Let me say I'm going to create a class this time, not the interface. I'm going to call this class as an ego. So remember, if you want to use the interface, I told you we are going to use the keyword as implements, right? So here instead of extends, I'm going to use implements as a keyword. So this is going to implement from those two interface method. One is an animal, another one is a bird, right? So inside what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create public white. So this is a normal class, right? So here is nothing like is nothing like this is an interface method. This is a normal class. So public void, I'm going to create a method name as, let me say it, because we have the method as it here. So inside what is error here? Ego is not abstract, does not, okay, it will go actually. Public void it. So here what I can say, just copy, oh, there is no system dot out, okay, system dot out dot println. So inside what I'm going to do here, usually eagles eats reptiles. So and then again what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to override all these methods from the classes interface animal and interface bird. So let me create another method. So this one is a sound. So how do they make sound? Maybe I don't know exactly how the eagles will make noise, so let me say this case is whistling, right? So okay, then is there any other method here? There is another method here, white fly. So here instead of sound, I'm going to show fly. So when it comes to fly, so then from here what I'm going to do, I'm trying to access the properties from this animal interface and this bird class, because it has got two methods such as sound and eat. Even here it has got a method as fly. I'm trying to override these methods from the interface to this class. As I said, when the method is interface, by default is going to be an abstract. When the method is an abstract, it cannot be instantiated, right? So what I'm going to do here is like strictly you cannot have any access. Let me create another class. I can call this one as a ego test, just to check, right? So it's nothing like, so here I'm going to have the main method, public static void main string array argument yes. So inside what we are going to do, let us create the object for this class that we have them here. So let's say let me copy them here. I'm going to paste them, EAGO ego equals new, then this is a ego class, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this object ego, I'm going to put dot, right? So when I say eat, do you think that we can still able to access the eat method from this animal interface? And then when I say that, let me say ego dot, let's say the next one I would call, maybe let's call the fly method, and then ego dot, I think we have sound, huh? Yes, we have the sound method. Do you think that when I run this one is going to override the classes that are there in the interface, interface animal and the bird? Let me run so that you see. You see, eats reptiles, it flies up to 100 feet, whistling. So all of them, they were coming from this ego class. It's not necessarily we were overriding from the interface method, right? All of them, they were coming from the actual ego class. We were not overriding anything there, right? So for example, in case if you want to access these fields, so these are fields, right? So when I say integer, number of legs, string, outcome, these are fields. They are not method. Is it possible for me to access these fields to this class? Yes, it is possible. For that, what you can do, just go down there, maybe just write, let me paste them here. So inside, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to say number of legs. Okay, this number of legs, where do you want them to print from? I'm going to print them from plus what is the name of the object here? Bird. I'm going to print them from bird dot number of legs, right? That's where I'm going to print the number of. Let me copy and paste. So here, instead of number of legs, outer feathers, right? Bird dot outer covering. So let me save and run. You will see we can still able to access those fields from the interface method. So number of legs, 2, number of, so it's not a number of legs. Instead I can say outer covering. Let me save and run again. As you can see them here, outer covering is feathers. So this is how interface method would work in Java. So with that interface method, we can actually have multiple inheritance, right? Multiple inheritance. I hope everything is clear as for now. So You might be wondering, so what is the difference between the abstract class and the interface class? Though we use abstract as a keyword there, but inside for the method you have to specify the method is an abstract method. But when you use interface as a method, even whatever interface as a method, there is no need for you to specify the method as an abstract. Even if you don't specify, by default is going to be abstract method, right? So you might be wondering, what is the difference between abstract class and the interface? Usually abstract class can have abstract and non-abstract method, but in interface it can have only abstract method. Even though if you don't specify the keyword as abstract, by default is going to be an abstract method. Then abstract class does not support multiple inheritance, but interface it does support the multiple inheritance, as you have seen them here. Then abstract class can have final, non-final, static, non-static variable, but in the interface, remember, as I said, it can have only static, final and public, right? Then abstract class can provide the implementation interface, but interface can't provide the implementation for the abstract class. Usually in the abstract class, the major difference, we know that we use abstract as a keyword there. For the interface, we use interface as a keyword. As I said, that Java abstract class can have methods such as, we can have the keywords such as private, protected, but here we can have only public, right? So this is a major difference between the abstract class and the interface class. So this is how abstraction will be achieved in object-oriented programming.